Hello everyone, I hope you are all doing well. My name is JurassicKM, and welcome to today's bonus episode. It has been 1 week since Jurassic World Chaos Theory premiered on Netflix. This sequel series takes place just before Jurassic World Dominion, and it follows the main cast of characters from Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, as they are brought together by tragedy only to find something more sinister is afoot. If you still haven't gotten around to watching this series yet, I strongly implore you to do so because, as the title of this video indicates, I will be giving my spoiler-filled thoughts on the show. This is officially your last chance to nope out if you haven't seen the show yet. Let's cut right to the chase. Is Jurassic World Chaos Theory good? Yes, it is very good. One of the best stories to come out of the franchise, good even, at the very least of recent memory. Do I have some issues with it? Sure, nothing is truly perfect, but the positives far outweigh the negatives, and I'd like to shine some light on those. The animation, lighting, and character renders are a huge step up from Camp Cretaceous. Now, that's not to say that Camp Cretaceous looked bad, it didn't, but within the first 5 minutes or so of Chaos Theory, it's very clear that the animation team really swung for the fences to outdo themselves, and they did. Humor and callbacks can sometimes stop films and shows in their tracks, like Thor Ragnarok or Jurassic World, respectfully, but thankfully that wasn't the case here. The humor felt like it was on point with what the show was going for, and the callbacks didn't beat you over the head going, hey, remember this? It was less of a direct reference and more of a, oh, this feels like something that would have been in one of the previous Jurassic entries. One of the best things that this show has going for it is the tone. Yes, Chaos Theory is much darker and more mature than its predecessor. While I maintain that Camp Cretaceous was never Jurassic Paw Patrol, it still had a bit of that fluffy and fun feel to it, especially now compared to Chaos Theory. While topics like loss, trauma, and relationships were touched on in Camp Cretaceous, Chaos Theory takes its time and digs deeper in a way that its predecessor couldn't, now that the remaining Nublar 6 are young adults. None of these 5 characters are truly okay, and the show and its cast does a fantastic job of exploring this. Things like Darius leaving Brooklyn voicemails even though he knows she's gone, Sammy wanting to help Yasmina with her PTSD, but smothering her to the point that Yaz had to retreat from Texas to a dinosaur-free sanctuary in Wyoming, which is an interesting idea in and of itself, for schooling. Kenji completely cutting Darius off after Brooklyn's demise, but still checking in with their mom. Darius admitting that he developed feelings for Brooklyn's after Kenji broke up with her. Ben diving deeper and deeper into the Dark Jurassic website. What also helps with this tone is that Chaos Theory does, for the most part, a great job of building up suspense and playing with our expectations, allowing us to share the paranoia with the characters, only for the show to pull the rug out and be like, gotcha. The best example of this is when Ben thinks that Bumpy is dying, only for the group to find out that she was actually pregnant and one of the eggs just got stuck. Another good example is the finale. Much like a lot of the Jurassic World entries, be those the films or Camp Cretaceous, this season's big finale is a dino fight, this time in the shipyard of a DPW, or Department of Prehistoric Wildlife, warehouse. Remember that shot in the trailer with Darius luring the Allosaurus out with the light from the stun rod? Big Edie, one of the Tyrannosaurs from Season 4 and 5 of Camp Cretaceous, is one of the dinosaurs being shipped, and when she gets out, she starts scrapping with the Atrociraptors. Yes, the same Atrociraptors from Dominion. They start to get the better of her, so Darius brings out the Allosaurus to lend a hand. At first, I thought he was going to have this little quip about how the Allosaurus is just another victim in this scheme being put on by these corrupt DPW agents, but he never did. You could certainly take it that way, but Darius doesn't seem terribly upset when Biggie Edie sees the Allosaurus as a rival predator in her new territory and decides to toss it around a little. Maybe he still wanted revenge on the Allosaurus for Brooklyn and tried to get it by the way of T-Rex. But again, it's never said outright, instead being wisely left to interpretation. Speaking of dinosaurs, as far as the dinosaurs go, The show is actually pretty creative with its dinosaur usage. You don't see a T-Rex outside of the intro or a Velociraptor until episode 9 of the 10-episode season. There are also a few new dinosaurs not featured in any of the films that make their debut here, with Pachyrhinosaurs, Spinax, and Suchomimus showing up to wreak havoc. The Allosaurus that Darius is chasing because it killed Brooklyn is blind in its right eye and has a small puncture scar set next to said eye, so I'm going to go ahead and assume it is the same Allosaurus from Battle at Big Rock. No, I don't think Chaos Theory is the event that was mentioned as what happened up north, because the Allosaurus's eye was intact when it showed up at the campsite in that film, whereas here it is scarred from the same spots where it took those crossbow bolts. Like I mentioned earlier, the Atrociraptors from Jurassic World Dominion are in this series, although only 3 of them are. Red sits this one out, so in hindsight, my face was pretty, well, red with my Chaos Theory Atrociraptor repaint video. They can actually change color for camouflage, which explains the green Atrociraptor figure that comes with Kenji, and is something that I actually missed on my first binge watch. While Darius and Ben mentioned this feature is similar to the Indominus Rex, it also reminded me of the color-changing wild Velociraptor from the original Jurassic Park novel. Either way, save for the camouflage ability, Ghost, Tiger, and Panthera look exactly the same as they did in Dominion. However, they are not led by Soyona Santos. At least, I'm pretty sure this mostly mute, well, she talks, but you never hear her voice, black-haired pale woman who looks like she's in a hypnotic state most of the time isn't Soyona. She uses a whistle to coordinate the Atrociraptors to do her bidding and is very unnerving. The first time I watched the show, I was afraid that they were going to go into humans with the control chips being intended for the dinosaurs from Camp Cretaceous. So much so that I even went, "Blink, lady, jeez." Like, thankfully she did, so I was convinced that she wasn't being controlled, but was just really, really creepy. Naturally, there are casualties. Even though this is a Y7 show, it is still Jurassic, so there's going to be a few unlucky schmucks who get chomped. This first season has a pretty decent body count, especially compared to Camp Cretaceous as a whole, or even the first Jurassic Park film. The first Jurassic Park film had 5 deaths, or cinco muertes, see what I did there, and Camp Cretaceous had something like 17 deaths over 5 seasons. I counted 12 deaths in this first season of Chaos Theory, 4 due to the Spinax. Rich's death in particular made me wonder if the animators actually animate what happens to the people's bodies off screen. Although one in the final episode where a Carnotaurus grabs a DPW agent's trank gun by the barrel and throws him up against the hull of a ship might be contested. Given how far and high that guy flew, how hard he hit the hull, and the fact that he came down head first, I'm counting that as a kill. Coolest death, though, has to go to Daniel Cohn. Yeah, Kenji's dad is back for an episode, and he gets a bit of a redemptive arc when he elaborates with Kenji and Darius about details leading up to Brooklyn's death, and when he tackles Tiger and puts her in an ankle lock like he was Ken Shamrock just to buy the boys some time to get away. As for the things that didn't sit right with me, let's go through some of the nitpicky stuff first. Now, this is a complaint that I have with many movies and shows, but you cannot pick up a call after that call has rolled over to voicemail. I know that this is for dramatic purposes, but voicemails don't work like that. Many of the Atrociraptor vocalizations are just recycled from Velociraptor. Guys, just because they both have raptor in the name doesn't mean that they're going to sound the same. One of the reasons why Sammy is so stressed when she's introduced is that her family stopped talking to her, but the show never actually explains why. Is it because of what she did in Camp Cretaceous, spying for Manticore? Was it because she helped take Manticore down and suddenly their ranch was no longer in their possession or something? Is it because of her relationship with Yasmina? Again, they never touch base on this. When Ben and Darius first arrive on Sammy's property, there's a bit of a whiplash where they're like, okay, quick in and out. We are being hunted after all. And then, puppy, 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 puppy. And then, no more distractions. It just felt a little flip-floppy and inconsistent to me. Speaking of inconsistencies, there seemed to be some with Ben's character in episode 5. In earlier episodes, he was ready to throw down and was perfectly capable of defending himself. But in episode 5, at Bobby Nublar's roadside show, he kind of reverts back to being a bit of a wimp. There's a brief side plot for the episode where Sammy discovers that Ben did consider her a suspect for a second in his red line map and charts, and in my opinion, that really slowed things down. However, the slowest episode was probably episode 9, where the cat and mouse thing in the warehouse felt like it went on a little bit too long. And yeah, the shot of Big Edie roaring in front of the exploding fuel containers in the shipyard was pretty cheesy, I'll admit, but I'd be lying if I said that I didn't enjoy the follow-up shots of every dinosaur and dock worker in the immediate vicinity noping out of there. Okay, so you might be thinking that this video hasn't been super spoilery. Well, if for no other reason, my final talking point demanded that I have a spoiler warning here. I don't like that Brooklyn is still alive. Yeah, I'm going to be that guy. My exact reaction to her still working in the shadows was, and I quote, "Oh, come on!" Yes, there was a giant smear of blood at the scene where Darius and Mateo encounter the Allosaurus. Maybe even her severed forearm was there, but with it being Y7, they're obviously not going to show it. To be fair, they didn't show Gennaro's leg in the original Jurassic Park, and that was PG-13. While the tone of the show was heavier and had that aura of, oh yeah, we're not messing around this time, Chaos Theory still wound up playing it safe in a few regards. There's some shots at the end that seem to frame Brooklyn, like, it's almost like that they're setting her up to be the villain for season 2, and I really hope that that isn't the case, because to me, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, Kenji split up with her on a mountaintop because she was more invested in her work than their relationship. Sure, Darius said that he had developed feelings for her, but it was not mutual. I know that a broken heart and an awkward situation can cause people to do weird things, and Brooklyn even told Ben that, and I quote, "It's hard for a reformed social media influencer turned aspiring investigative journalist out there." But buying and selling dinosaurs? Profiting off of the very creatures that she was an advocate for protecting by trading with her ex-boyfriend's dad, who emotionally manipulated them and tried to have them all killed on Manticore Island? I don't know, folks. Those were my thoughts on my first viewing. Having watched the season a second time, I have a theory. The key word is theory, so I could totally be blowing smoke. Anyway. So Daniel Cohn says that Brooklyn seemed much more dangerous in how she carried herself when she came to visit him. Cabrera, regional director of DPW, Darius's old boss and something of a Jordan Peele lookalike, said that the Allosaurus was only supposed to scare her that night, get her to take a hint and back off from their operation, much like the threatening messages he sent to Ben on Dark Jurassic. I'm thinking that she wasn't getting anywhere with her investigative journalism career, so she decided to try do something big. Something that would make some real change and get people to say, yeah, remember that tween social media influencer from a few years back? Yeah, she's the one who took this whole thing down. She put on this persona of wanting to capitalize on the new normal of dinosaurs on the mainland, playing off of Daniel Cohn's ego the same way she did with Dr. Wu's in the first season of Camp Cretaceous, playing her cards for the long game to establish herself at the top of the money mountain as queen dinosaur trafficker, only to drop a match on it, as it were. Maybe they were getting dinosaurs from the DPW and Cabrera didn't like her style. Maybe they were running a different operation altogether, catching and transporting dinosaurs before the DPW could, and Cabrera didn't like her pillaging the resources before him. However, now that everyone thinks she's dead, she'll be subtly guiding her friends from the shadows so that they can finish what she started. I hope that's the case because, again, villain Brooklyn does not make sense to me. Overall, I still say that Chaos Theory is well worth checking out. I can't help but echo statements made by others and say that if you were disappointed in Dominion's primary focus on corporate espionage involving locusts instead of dinosaurs on the mainland, Chaos Theory has you covered. Where would I put it in the overall franchise ranking? Well, originally I felt that because of that twist at the end, I would put it just below Dominion. However, the vast majority of the stuff leading up to that twist was really, really good. Yeah, I had a great time with the Dominion, but there's a difference between saying, I'm having a great time with this, and this is great. Given how well the tension and paranoia roped me in and how it still works on a second watch, even if you know the twist at the end, I'm actually going to put Jurassic World Chaos Theory above Dominion and below The Lost World. I eagerly look forward to Season 2. Be sure to let me know what you thought of Chaos Theory in the comments below. I do want to thank you all for watching, and please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell for future notifications, and share. Until next time, this is JurassicKM, signing off.